Sisters, we are building a school.
That is right. We are partnering with Nguvu to build the Bright Future Academy School in Tamale, Ghana. Nguvu is the Swahili word for strength.
And Nguvu Foundation aims to serve underprivileged communities in Ghana by partnering with over 1,500 women to pick and produce shea butter and its byproducts, providing them with fair pay and opportunities to support their families.
These women are truly strong, capable, and productive. However, sisters, we want to support them with a challenge that they face daily.
Let us explain. These women are often the sole caretakers and breadwinners of their families.
And due to the predominance of poverty, they do not have access to nurseries or can provide some kind of care provision for their children whilst they work. So we are building the Bright Future Academy, which is a free preschool that will provide a safe environment and a high quality education for the children of these hard-working women.
Our aim is to raise £10,000 in the next 6 months to be able to build, furnish, staff and open this school in early 2024. And we need your help to do that.
So please donate, and you can always find out more information over at tomysisters.com or in the YouTube description or in our show notes.
Help us to support our sisters in Tamale by providing their children with a quality education and a bright future.
Yet again, another trend on the social media.
This is the perfect example of using the master's tools to dismantle the master's
Exactly.
house.
Who are we allowing to impact our purchasing power?
100%. How far are we actually going to go with this thing?
The human need for social acceptance has gone so far.
The difference between OnlyFans and Patreon is literally just branding. Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Renee, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters around the world.
And in today's episode, we're going to be having a conversation on de-influencing, overconsumption, and quiet luxury. Quiet. It's not gaudy. It's not outlandish. It's quiet. Silence, if you will, allegedly. But before we do that, sisters, as usual, we have... We ain't even started. We started with our cackling.
Gosh.
Before we get into it, we do have a couple of housekeeping notes. Yes. So the first is, as we stated in our last episode, and as we have been stating all over social media, we are building a school.
The Bright Future Academy.
Absolutely. We are building the Bright Future Academy in partnership with Nguvu Foundation up in Tamale in Ghana. So if you know me, every time I say Ghana, oh my God, there is a really soft place in my heart for Ghana, much less because my bestie is from Ghana, but the work that we are doing there and the bright young women as well. See what I did there? The bright young women over there as well definitely need an opportunity to thrive. So
100%.
It is our passion project, but it also is our project of the year. It is something that we are working on, nattering away on. So sisters, we would appreciate if you would galvanize, get behind us, donate anything that you can. If there's any organizations that you can plug us with, we would really appreciate any introductions, any forwarding, just any work that we can do to make this a real thing, to make this a building, to make this an opportunity that the young women that are working with Nguvu can really benefit from. We definitely appreciate it. And thank you to everybody that has supported us so far. We love. And it's always so beautiful to see the outpouring of love that we get here at To My Sisters. It really is home. And it just is so beautiful. We are so honored. We thank you. We honor you. But let's keep those efforts going. Let's get that 10K.
Come on, 10,000.
You know what I'm saying? 10 bags. So thank you for all the love and support, and please continue to support us.
Honestly, sisters, thank you so much. The next housekeeping is TMS International Experiences. If you want to come to brunch with us in New Orleans, then you can during Essence Festival weekend. We are going to be in NOLA, okay?
Not
New
NOLA.
Orleans, Louisiana.
NOLA.
We're going to be enjoying all that Essence Weekend has to offer, and we would love to meet some of the sisters who are there. If you're in a state, you're nearby, why not fly over, have a good weekend, enjoy the good vibes. We are going to be there the whole of Essence Festival weekend, but we are having our brunch on the 1st of July. So if you would like to come and celebrate with us, grab your ticket now. If you would like to travel with us on a restful, replenishing, sisterhood-filled trip to Bali, Indonesia, then you need to sign up to the Bali trip, baby. Okay. We are coming in clutch by curating amazing experiences for you whilst we are out there, as well as providing you with a group of like-minded, amazing, glowing and growing women who want to do sisterhood with you in real life. Absolutely. So if you would want to travel with a group of amazing women, including us, then you can sign up to join our Bali experience and our Bali Girls trip using the link in our description as well. And last but not least, during February 2024, aka the month of Renee, aka birthday month extravaganza, we are going to be in South Africa. I'm a piano, babes. All right. I'll save the meow for next week. I know some people are sick of it.
Some people clicked off, they said fast forward. Y'all been meowing for 4 weeks.
But all is well. You'll hear much of it when you join us in South Africa. Okay. So if you want to come to South Africa with us and experience the rich culture, connect with the sisterhood, the massive sisterhood that is out there, as well as make memories with us and come to our first international live show, then you need to sign up to the South Africa experience. Okay. All the information, the prices, the dates, the itinerary can be found on the Sorted Chalet website. Shout out to our girls over at Sorted Chalet who are making all of this click, clack and work.
Clack.
We cannot wait to experience the world with you all.
We absolutely love it. So now that our house is kept, our house is swept, and ready for you to sit down with a hot glass of tea, chai, coffee, whatever it is you prefer at this time, because you know there's some sisters listening right now it's morning, and there's some sisters listening right now and it is very much time to go to sleep. 100%. So hopefully we can talk our way and talk you into a beautiful blissful sleep. But before then
really trying to see where you're going with that one.
Child, I was gonna say I was getting into my Jerry Springer vibe, but rest in peace. Yeah.
Oh, Jerry.
Child, I know Jerry. Ooh, child. But before we get into that, we have a ding
dilemma.
Hey sisters.
Hey babes.
Love from South Africa.
Hey, come on. We'll see you down there.
What do you know? Okay. I can't wait to hopefully see you guys next year.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's the gist.
Yeah, what's up?
I've been with my boyfriend for about 3-4 months and I honestly don't see myself with anyone else. A little context, we're both in university. I'm 21 and he's 23. So we're fairly young, but as a Christian and someone who dates with intent, I think or rather thought he was husband material.
Wow.
After listening to the episode with your friend Zoe, I've been thinking and reflecting about whether or not I'm ignoring fundamentals and red flags because I want this to work. So basically, my boyfriend and I come from very, very different economical backgrounds. He's working and putting himself through school and can't rely on other people for living expenses, whereas my parents have been covering me since day one and I just work for my university on a part-time basis. So already we're coming from very different sides of the coin. I never thought it would be an issue because we connect over many things and teach each other new things. However, I sometimes feel like he dismisses my feelings, makes me feel bad, and doesn't follow through on his promises. I've been very vocal about the importance of going on dates, getting flowers or gifts, and wanting to go to church together because those are my standards and what I appreciate in a relationship. And likewise, I've been trying to be patient and not push him too much about these things. However, I feel like he's not interested or motivated and doesn't see these things as important or a way to get out of our own relationship bubble and around others. I've even gone as far as suggesting things that we should do or just simply asking to go on a walk on the beach with me. I'm a coastal babe, but he's never really keen. Am I wrong for not wanting to be with a guy who's never in the mood to just be outside with me or feels like a date is something that can only happen once in a blue moon? How can I go about portraying the importance of these things to me without making him feel less than or like I'm criticizing his financial situation? Love you guys and thanks in advance.
I think that's quite an interesting dilemma. I don't think you're necessarily ignoring red flags.
Right.
I think you're at such an early stage in your relationship that these are the kind of teething issues that you should be talking about, where it's like, okay, we've experienced each other a bit here and there, and now we're, you know, aware of how we both act, what we're used to, what we like, and, you know, we've noticed some things based on how we bounce off of each other. And one thing that you've noticed is you actually want to go out more, and you want to understand kind of where his head's at about that. How does he want to approach your date with, with that being in mind, that is something that you desire, but also communicating, why haven't we been going out as much, or why haven't we been spending time in this particular way? Is there like an issue? Is there, how do you like to date as well? Is this how you like to date? And kind of finding a middle ground and a compromise, but also understanding his reasoning behind it. Now, I do think there are some key issues here to kind of be addressed, and that could be red flags. Right now, I feel like everything's amber until you have a real conversation. Yeah. One thing that I would say is this: when it comes to the finances, listen, dating is expensive, right? And oftentimes, especially if you are someone who, doesn't split bills, if we're just going to call a spade, it is hard for the financial responsibility to just be on one person. So it could just be because you're from two different, economic backgrounds, that he's having a hard time kind of not living up to, but like paying for the dates that maybe you'd want, or just paying for dates in general. Assuming that he's kind of the one who's not doing as well financially, or doesn't come from that economic standpoint. However, what I will say is you're trying to compromise by suggesting dates which are actually low cost, if not free. And if he doesn't want to cooperate with that, then it could be a question about whether he's being intentional about spending time with you. And that could be for many different reasons. He could feel as though he doesn't really want to, be out and feel like, oh, we're doing something for free. I'm sure she's thinking, I wish I was, somewhere a bit more high end right now. And maybe feel the embarrassment or shame that comes with that, which is completely fair. But I think that's something that also needs to be addressed, and something not even necessarily addressed, but something that needs to be expressed. And I know it can feel very vulnerable and it can feel very transparent, but that's what relationships are. So sitting down and having that conversation, that is, hey babes, notice this, how are you feeling about it? Why are you doing this as well? Why are you saying no? I think the part which could be a bit more unfortunate is if he just doesn't want to spend time with you. And I would question how we got to this point if you in yourself have concluded this is potentially your husband. So if you haven't been spending a lot of time together, how did you get to this conclusion that this is the man you want to spend your life with, especially so quickly? I would say that if you've been dating someone for 3 or 4 months and you've concluded this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, then my assumption is you spent a whole bunch of time together. So if you aren't spending that much time together, my question to you would then be, have you come to this conclusion in haste? And if you have, I would say take a bit of a step back, think a bit more logically about your actual compatibility and whether he is as committed to this as you are, and also whether you have seen enough of his character close up. Because it's one thing to have phone conversations with somebody and, ask them all the questions and they give you the right answer, and actually then seeing their character play out through real life situations, right? And real life case studying, like you actually in the field of life. How does he interact with people? How does he interact on dates? How does he interact with new challenges that are presented? If you go and you do activities, how does he problem solve, right? All of these different things. How does he treat you? What are his mannerisms? Do his eyes wander when he's with you? And look at, no, but these are things you can't see on a FaceTime call. Do you get what I mean? But they could highlight things that need to be addressed. And I would highly recommend you go and listen to last week's episode if you haven't already, where we were sharing about lessons on love. And a lot of what we were talking about was about the character of a person and how the character of a person needs to be observed up close. So for me, there's a bit of a disconnect as to how you've come to, he's the one, and also we're not spending enough time together. And I would ask then, is it a recent change? And if it is a recent change, then it's probably there has been a catalyst of some kind or something to cause this to happen. And I would ask him about that, and just have a very, nurturing environment that says, you can be honest here. And I really want to hear it so that we can move forward. I want to hear why you may not be wanting to spend as much time together, why you've been saying no to the things that I've offered, and give specific examples as well. When I said, let's do XYZ, you said XYZ. Yeah, that's good. And I just want to know why this is becoming a bit of a pattern that I'm noticing. And also, this is how and it will probably inevitably open up a conversation about dates and what dates look like for you both. And I think it's worth just communicating to each other, these are my expectations, but also this is how I can or cannot meet those expectations. And like I said, finding a middle ground that allows your relationship to progress, because it sounds like it has great potential here. So something that allows your relationship to progress, but also addresses these things which could easily become mountains if you don't point to them right now.
For sure. Absolutely, completely, comprehensively agree.
Thank you very
comprehensively
much.
Agree. Yeah, I definitely echo a lot of what Courtney has said. I think I would also add, like, you're actually still quite young in that you said that both of you are in university. So I'm assuming that, you know, the pressure of exams, for example, the pressure of actually being a student is something to consider. And I think whilst you come from different economical backgrounds or rather financial backgrounds, that doesn't always necessarily determine the outcome of the individual. So I definitely understand why he would be a bit more cautious during this time, especially with his money, considering that he's putting himself through school. And it definitely is a privilege to be able to, you know, not have to worry about rather your school fees, or worry about certain other pressures that may have been alleviated by having parental
assistance
intervention. So I think there is still a little level of like understanding that may be needed. And I think him being a guy as well, obviously we know that there's so many material and financial pressures on men in general in this society. I do think that it would be beneficial to, and I know you've done this already, but it would be beneficial to cleave onto that understanding a little bit more and give just a little bit of grace, especially considering you guys are still really, really young in the grand scheme of things. And also absolutely love what you were saying around like identifying the red flags. And I think also just bearing in mind, y'all have been dating for 3-4 months and husband material, like, look, I know that the spirit be moving and discernment sometimes gives you that, that's my man. But I think all things considered, 3 to 4 months, and you're in the context of university, which is a confined period of time and dictates a lot of your life. And this will utterly transform when you get out of education. I think it would be worth like taking your time with this one a little bit more and having those conversations with your boyfriend preemptively, of course, and being like, look, I know that you're, you know, currently under a lot of pressure. We're both under a lot of pressure, especially being in university, but knowing your current like situation and whatnot, I want to have some conversations around like future planning, right? So what does life after university look like? Is he thinking about, you know, post university, what he would like to do, what he'd like to be, how he'd like to potentially financially secure himself? And I think even this whole notion of him being your potential future husband, sometimes that can add a lot of undue stress and pressure, especially at this period. And this is not to say that you can't look at him as your future husband, but I think sometimes when you have that in your mind, it starts to actually manifest in the way that you engage with them, and 100%. That can actually really impact your relationship. So I think there's definitely an opportunity there for you to sit down and just have not just one conversation, but multiple conversations, because again, 3-4 months, that's pretty early, girl. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, take your time with it, especially the current life stage that you both are at, and try and figure out why he might have some hesitance around the dates, right? Like, really dig deep. Is it that, you know, he doesn't want to do these things? Chances are he probably does want to do these things, at least for you, or he wants to I'm giving him a lot of good grace. I don't know this man, so you know, you could be completely right. But I think it's worth exploring. Why is this his reaction to you bringing up these dates or suggesting spending time with each other? Is there something else going on in his life right now which could be perfectly possible and perfectly plausible? So I think even in your approach, even in your approach when you're engaging with him, it's very much a, hi, I really want to understand you better. I want to support you better if I can, and I really want us to work. So prefacing and framing your conversations with him around those central tenets, I think will ensure that it lands well, and it's not probing, it's not attacking, and it doesn't automatically facilitate a defense response from him. But other than that, girly, I wish you both all the best. University is tough, man, and there's tough times out here. And
also I wanted to say, this could be the person that you think you'll end up with, but because of the stage of life you're in, you may just have a longer road ahead of you. Just because you recognize somebody as, oh, okay, I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. I know some friends who met in university and have been rocking since the first year, like the freshers week. Like, they have been together since then, but it's taken a lot of working out, because you can imagine between being 18 to 26, you've been 5 different people. you hadn't started a career when you met. Now you're navigating that. So it could be that this is the person you're going to end up with, but you're just not going to end up married now, right? So they also may not, just because you recognize him as your husband doesn't mean he's going to show up in the final form of your husband right now as you've met him. So maybe also give your both of you some grace and some patience, and don't start putting husband expectations on this 18, 19-year-old man.
Youngin.
Unless he's expressed that he wants that.
So a little bit of grace, a little sprinkle of grace.
Sprinkle.
But it's also good that you're having, you're thinking about these kind of things, because so often we can just be going with the flow at this age, or going with the flow in university thinking, I'm just going to experience.
That's how you get STIs. No shame.
Sis, we are sending you so much love. We are praying that your relationship, whatever the workings out are, that it actually does work out and you do find a resolution that's best for both of you. And keep us updated. We'd love to know how things go.
We would indeed.
If y'all get married, send us an invitation. We'd love to come.
I think we deserve it, at least.
We'd love to come. Imagine if there was like TMS weddings, like, oh my gosh, based on your
they can't really, like, they wouldn't have met the brothers.
That's true.
Yes, it's not really a TMS wedding. We're just coming to support us.
Yeah, we're just coming to support. But can we come and support us, please? I like a good wedding. I do. And in advance.
Wedding invites.
Any real ones, not the fake ones that have been going along online.
Wait, what?
People have been having fake weddings and inviting folks as a event.
I don't understand.
So like traditional weddings?
Yeah.
They will throw a traditional wed.
Yeah.
And invite people to come.
So
but no one's getting married. It's just for
a big hall party.
Yeah.
I'm for it. We don't need the guys though. If you tell me come to a hall party, I'm coming.
We need to bring back Viva Hall Party.
Thank you.
Remember?
I never went to a Viva Hall party, but like just hall parties in general.
We need to bring back hall parties.
Please.
Like, we've become too sophisticated for our own life.
I'm telling you. And I've actually, like, guys, there's an active campaign I'm working on in my personal life, which is we need to throw a hall party. And everyone's conclusion is because we are not as community minded as the previous generation, it wouldn't work. It would just be too costly. And I actually completely hear it. But I really want one. And I know everyone's like, well, then you throw one. I don't have the funds for that specific issue right there. Little bit.
But even with the hall party, I feel like if it's community based, I feel like there's places we can cut corners for costs. You know what I mean?
And this is what I'm saying. So I need all of us collectively to want it.
The aunties need
and
to
then
come
us
back.
to do it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Because remember, it'll be like auntie that will make your dress for you after somebody has brought the material back from overseas.
That's all we need. Community engagement.
TMS hall party.
I think we can make it happen. Should we have an all-girl hall party?
TMS all-girl hall party. Guys, would you come? Let us know.
Actually, let us know if you come, because I've been wanting to find a reason to throw it.
No, we'll do it,
I want there to be a material. I want everyone to come in that like I
everyone
want
to come in their cultural dress and stuff. Because I need all my Asian sisters to come out too. That'd be great.
Listen, so I recently watched a film. What's it called? Oh, forget it.
I need you guys to come clutch.
Because the outfits, the looks, the makeup,
all of us.
Even the routines. Yeah.
Washing
different
all of us.
Asian sisters, come and represent your cultures. We need to see it.
Not us doing around the world. Okay, hall party, we'll do a poll.
Please.
We'll do a poll. Because we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah, because maybe 2025. Yeah, why not? For no reason at all.
Big hall party.
Big hall party.
Yeah. I'm coming with those. The Nigerian trads where the corset.
100%. Have you seen those corset where especially Guardian brides these days, the corset, they're like
looking like if you breathe, just
literally you are about to pass out.
It is well, Sha. We'll come in. Anyways, from the sidetrack back into the main road. De-influencing. Look at us. We're even influencing the sisters. De-influencing.
Yeah.
And overconsumption. And we're also going to be talking about quiet luxury.
All right.
Yet again, another trend on the social media. And just for context, for those who have heard these terms and are kind of like, what the hell does any of this stuff mean? De-influencing is allegedly the practice which is opposite to influencing. So you know how influencers encourage us to purchase products or are part of marketing campaigns and whatnot to get us invested in specific brands. De-influencing is all about trying to get rid of the clutter, minimalism at its base. But then also there's a thread of de-influencing, which is basically reverse influencing and telling people what not to purchase. So any kind of items that we think are like useless, worthless, all that kind of stuff, de-influencing, get rid of it. Overconsumption. Sisters, you may be, pretty well versed in overconsumption. Then that's basically consuming more than you need.
Yeah, way more.
And then lastly, there's a trend that's been going on the TikTok streets called quiet luxury, which is again, alleged reversal of current trends around displaying your wealth. So very much classic, underrated, understated kind of fashion and etiquette. Going towards a more simple, look and aesthetic, very much in keeping with the current soft life aesthetics and clean girl looks and whatnot. So now that the context has been set and the inventory has been laid, Miss Courtney,
hi,
the
present
influencer.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your thoughts, especially as somebody that's actually a content creator in more ways than one. So obviously she comes and graces us with her wonderful presence and her insights on To My Sisters. But Miss Courtney is also a well-seasoned content creator on YouTube streets. If you are listening to this podcast for the first time, or you've been a long-term listener and you have not subscribed to CDB, then we have an issue. Mayday, Mayday, SOS. Get out of here. And come back once you subscribe. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on the concept of de-influencing and whether you think, first of all, is it like a legitimate thing? Like, do you think that is something that, stop it, your face is already given. Do you think that is something that the sisters should be paying attention to? Do you think it's an important reversal or it's an important response to influencing, especially because influencing, as much as you often talk about how positive the internet can be, there are a lot of haters of influencers and they continue to grow in numbers and in strength. There is an army of anti-influencers. So de-influencing, do you think that this is an effective tool to combat influencers? Do you think influencers need to be combated in the first place?
I think it's so interesting how this has evolved and come about. And as someone who loves kind of commentating on influencer culture and our relationship with the internet and like digital sociology, I think it's important for us to recognize a few things here. One, influencers don't need to be combated. Bad influencer practices need to be combated, right? And you do that through, discourse, but also through addressing the complex processes by which some of the bad behavior of the influencing culture even comes about in the first place. Absolutely. So things like advertiser disclosure, like actually saying this is a paid partnership, those are practical ways to say, listen, some of the bad things that happen where people are pushing products but they're not disclosing that, hey, I monetarily gain from this advertisement, that's a great way to stop something like that from happening. And then there's the wider discourse, which we often engage in, for example, like the self-image or body image issues and the body standards that it sets are problematic, and people not disclosing things like they've had surgery are problematic, and then equipping people with the tools to be able to engage well with the internet. I think that's very positive, and I think everyone's entitled to having their own opinion and creating their own platform. The reason why I feel like de-influencing sometimes goes too far is it steps beyond just highlighting these negative parts of influencer culture, just like there are negative parts of any social practice, like anything to do with society, engaging with people, and like institutions of some kind. If you consider the internet an institution, there's going to be bad practices that happen that need to be discussed and then addressed and mitigated, right? But sometimes I think with this is the perfect example, especially those people who are telling you what not to buy. This is the perfect example of using the master's tools to dismantle the master's house.
Exactly.
You cannot become an influencer by telling people, and your full influence is based on telling people to unfollow influencers. Because what will happen inevitably, and I see this often, is people then begin to monetize off of that following, and they just become a different kind of influencer. And it seems avant-garde, it seems nuanced, it seems completely new. It literally seems so nouveau that people forget. There is nothing new under the sun. This is the same old pony in a different wig. Next thing they'll be telling you is, oh, you know what? If you want to know more about de-influencing, you need to read this book. And then it just becomes about influencing you to just go down a different path. And I think it's important for us to be discerning of that, right? That when it comes to building social platforms, especially when most of your social platform is about tearing down other social platforms. All that you're doing is still building up your social platform. It's the pot calling the kettle black. And I'm not saying necessarily that there's not a place for it, but I think there needs to be more tact and also more sophistication when it comes to doing it. That's the word I'm looking for. More sophistication when it comes to doing it, because I think it is attention grabbing. Like, you need to unfollow this person. You need to stop shopping at this brand. Okay, cool. But where are you directing the people to? Because we cannot, whilst we are going to discuss and we need to be careful about overconsumption, we cannot consume nothing. Yep. We are human beings. We consume. We actually consume things. We eat food. We go to places, we commune, we wear clothes, right? And so, no, let's be honest. Do you get what I mean? Like, how far is this de-influencing thing going to go? Is it just to try and encourage people to shop generic? Like, what is it? Do you get what I mean? Absolutely. In a capitalistic world, you're going to have marketing budgets. You're going to have marketing because you have brands and because you have individual privatized corporations. Absolutely. And those marketing budgets, especially as we see the advancement of the digital world and technology, are going to include digital influencers. They are going to include digital brand ambassadors in the form of influencers and social content creators. What I think is a more sophisticated thing to do is to point people on how to navigate the internet and navigate consumption in a healthy and responsible way, which also does not take away their autonomy by making them reliant on you, right? I think what's dangerous is oftentimes people who come with the whole, I'm gonna help you get out of the rat race, I'm a they're just making people followers of them. They're just taking people and, you know, people who have also, you know, they've become influenced by people and they have become followers, which is fine because I consume social media on a daily basis. I have my favorite people. If someone says, go buy this, I'm buying it. Yeah, she said it. That Mel's wardrobe, you can count how many things you've seen me on this podcast in, because Mel's wardrobe, Mel truly made me do it.
And also Aaliyah's face.
Yes. So many people have influenced me. Yeah, let me be honest with you. However, I think it's important to just equip people with the tools to say,
I agree,
this is how you navigate the internet world. This is how you, especially if it's like, oh, don't buy clothes from this specific brand. You're still going to have to point people to where they can buy, where they can buy clothes in a more sustainable way, in a way that supports fair practices, in a way that isn't driven by overconsumption and is mindful. But because we are human beings who consume and we live in a capitalistic, privatized world, we are going to need to consume something, and you're going to just have to teach us how to navigate that well.
Absolutely.
According to the morals which you are outlining. But you cannot completely make people divest from everything and think that you're being revolutionary. You're being dumb. Especially if you are using social media to do it, which are privatized platforms. I'm confused. Like, I think the issue here isn't necessarily, maybe not the intention. I'm going to assume all of you have good intentions. The issue here isn't the intention, it's the execution. And the fact that social media works the way it does, I think this kind of activism, if we can call it that, won't work very well on social media platforms, because social media it's literally constructed to cause a hierarchy of some kind. The followers, the influencer. And even if your influence is about de-influencing, you still are in that model. You still are in that hierarchy. So yeah.
This is it. I think I love what you were saying, because in my mind, when I think of like de-influencing, I feel like it is the wrong name for a particular type of movement that is striving towards achieving minimalism, but also sustainability, which I think are better terms to describe the aims and intention of de-influencing, right? It's to provoke a more conscious, committed force community of people when it comes to their consumerism and some of their actions and the way that they, you know, interact with different products and interact with the marketplace. I think the problem with de-influencing comes with the fact that it is almost scapegoating influencers. And like you said, as much as influencers have their part to play in some of our structures and power dynamics, I think this whole term of de-influence, it just doesn't sit well with me, because majority of like super popping influencers are actually women. So it's just like, and I know that there have been traditional disdain towards women that are super popular influencers, as like shallow, or you know, we often 100%. Demonize influencing as an industry as something that's quite shallow and quite restrictive, and something that's actually not a serious profession. So I think adding to the fuel to the fire of having something like de-influencing further delegitimizes the work of a lot of women within 100%. The space, which is very unfortunate, because I think that as much as there are issues within the influencer industry that do need to be combated, and I do think that there is a responsibility on behalf of us as consumers, as well as those as influencers, as producers and pushers of products, I do think that we do also need to take up our mantle of that personal responsibility when it comes to who we are allowing to penetrate our choices and our decisions when it comes to purchasing. 100%. Who are we allowing to impact our purchasing 100%. Power? And I think that it's not always it's not influencers that are going to do this for you. And this whole de-influencing, I don't know, there's certain videos that I've watched and I'm just like, this seems mad spiteful. Influencers, yes, they have, you know, pushed products, and yes, sometimes it's cringy, but it's like there are also positives to influencing. There have been some really, really good things that have occurred as a result of popular influencers using their channels and their platforms for good. And I would hope that rather than trying to tear that down, we're actually finding a way to integrate these things that have been created in society, integrate these platforms that have been created by influencers for social good. So I do think that there is a little bit of like self-awareness that's required 100%. When we are pushing the de-influencing. Like even the word 100%. De-influence is like we're trying to remove, and it's like, no, it's better to improve than to remove, because we can't deny that with social media, the reality is there will be influencers, there will be people that you'll see online and like, oh, they're popping, they're funny, they're pretty, 100%. I'm gonna follow them. It's almost like you know, like high school, the popular folk, and it's giving me Mean Girls vibes, where it's like, oh, this is my opportunity to be a mean girl. This is my opportunity to take and reclaim power. And it's like, are we reclaiming power back from the right people? Ooh, like, is this where we actually should spend,
and are we putting it then into the right hands?
Right, exactly. Is this where we should really spend the vast majority of our energy? And we need to be very, very careful. And this is why we often talk about communication, the power of articulation, the power of critical thinking. Being able to articulate these things well is just as important as articulating 100%. Them. The delivery is almost as important, if not more important than the content itself. 100%. Because as soon as you say something, exactly, as soon as you say something like sustainability, it's like, I get it. As soon as you say something like consumerism, I get it. As soon as you say minimalism, I get it. When you say something like de-influencing, and because it's a new term as well, you give a small amount of people the 100%. Capacity to define what that looks like. And the unfortunate thing about that is it then diverts attention, it diverts energy, but also diverts power.
100%.
And that's again, really power is, I think sometimes when we think about power, we demonize power, because we often think of, again, majority of us will exactly operate within a capitalist setting. So we have seen power being misused, and we see and have normalized power as something that is inherently problematic and inherently results in exploitation inherently. And I think it's unfortunate that our response to that is to remove rather than to improve.
Yeah, that's really good. And I love that. Like, the transfer of power is really important to look at and inspect, because you can take power away from influencers and the power of their voices or their actual influence, let's say. But are you putting it into the hands of the consumer, the viewer, the follower, or are you taking it into your hands and simply absorbing it for yourself and benefiting from that, even if it's just from the attention economy and the fact that people are watching you and those numbers speak to something? I think what's crazy is a lot of these people who have been able, which you're perfectly right in saying the majority of them are women, because oftentimes men are called content creators, women are called influencers. So let's just, that is annoying. But the majority of these influencers, because they are women as well, they have built a legitimate company and a legitimate stream of income and enterprise from the work that they are doing, which a lot of people actually benefit from. A lot of people go to influencers to get good reviews about what it is they are looking to purchase, right? And are already looking to be invested in that lifestyle anyway, and are looking to these people for direction. But I think what's important in terms of kind of equipping people with the tools to navigate social media and dealing with influencer content is letting people know that influencers are basically human billboards, right? Exactly. Just because you see a billboard doesn't mean you're being, held to a guard. You have to buy, you have to click the link, you have to. No. You actually don't have to do anything. Any influencer paid partnership or advertisement is an advert. Like, it's just an advert. The same way when you're watching TV and somebody has put an advert in between the content, it doesn't mean you now have to go on your phone and buy fairy liquid.
Purchase,
Do you get what I mean? Or buy, that Hoover. You don't have to purchase, but it is an advertisement. And I think a lot of people are operating under the idea mainly that the only way influencers make money is through affiliate linking and the fact that if you click and if you buy, they make money.
Right.
But actually, a lot of the influencers who get criticized are influencers who are being paid by the brand. And as people who want people to get paid their dues and actually get paid for their work, it's better for the price tag to be on the brands because the brands have the budget. Do you get what I mean? It's like, I think of someone who I love on TikTok, Keith Lee, right?
Yes.
Love Keith Lee on TikTok, right? It warms my actual heart to see how much his life has changed by building a platform and people trusting his influence, right?
Exactly.
If we want to de-influence things, we actually take money out of people's pockets, which didn't necessarily come from us when we've already consumed their content, right? And I think that to me becomes a bit more troublesome, especially as we're living in a democratized digital world. It's so nice to see how many people have been able to build a life for themselves just making content, not trying to bamboozle anyone, not trying to have bad motives, but genuinely because they applied this as a business model and they have provided value to their digital community. I think one thing that people forget when it comes to dealing with influencers is they think that because the influencer has monetized, they themselves are just being exploited. But one thing you need to remember is the influencer was the one who actually made the first move by giving you the content. There's this tweet that I remember seeing. I used to be a big fan of JME, the BBK rapper, Skepta's brother.
Really?
Yeah, I used to love JME. We shared the same birthday, actually.
Wow, look
Jamie
at that. Nice the way you said that. Oh my gosh, we shared the same birthday.
Yeah,
to be fair, I really love Skepta, so
I hear it, but I think JME is dope. Like, in terms of just his talent, his flow, everything. Anyway, I used to think he was a really cool person. I don't really follow him that much now, but I'm sure he's still a really sick person. But with him, I remember seeing a tweet that he posted where somebody was he was tweeting about how somebody spotted him when he was out and they wanted to take a picture. And he was like, I'm kind of like not in the mood to take a picture, whatever. And he was just like, if I see you or if you see me outside and you want to take a picture, just be respectful of whether I'm in the mood, if I'm with family, friends, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody quote tweeted it or responded and was like, we're the ones who like basically make you famous and we stream your music and all of that. Like, what do you give us in return? If we just ask for a picture in return, like, and he was just like, I gave you the music. They've already made the move. I gave you the content. I gave you the music. I gave you the art.
Public property.
Do you get what I mean? I actually don't. After that, I gave you the art. You responded. I don't owe you anything after that. Do you get what I mean? Anything else I do is out of the goodness of my heart. It's extra. Do you get what I mean? Sometimes I think people think influencers are literally just expecting us to make the first move, where it's like, buy this thing and now they owe us a thank you. Now they owe us a this. Now they owe us this. And it's like, no, they actually gave you the content first. The content for you to engage with. And that content is doing more than just selling you something. For a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about ads here, I'm talking about general content. Even if it does feature an ad, that content is people's entertainment and stuff like that. Like, as much as we're shouting de-influence, I feel like people are doing it because they can target a person. Whereas if you talked about, I don't know, de-advertise, you would have to come against the NBA, you would have to come against the Super Bowl, you would have to come against all of these TV stations which partner with brands to spend their marketing budgets, right? How far are we actually going to go with this thing? We can't go that far with it. And just because it's a new model and a very modern model, which we haven't, seen for maybe more than a decade or 15, like influencer marketing, how old is it as a form of income, right? It's not that big.
It's really not that old.
It's not that old, sorry. But the marketing budget seems so crazy at how exponentially it's growing. And it's like, I get that could provoke people to be like, we need to investigate this trend and the effects of it. But I think, again, it comes down to the sophistication and the language we then attribute to that conversation.
Absolutely.
Because if we're not careful, we will not only de-influence, we will actually demonize. Like, we would demonize
I mean,
people.
it's literally already started. Even
exactly.
I love that you're talking about content, because I genuinely think that people don't see content as work, especially if you're not a content creator.
Oh my
it's like,
God.
I know I'm speaking because we've spoken about this so many times. Like, guys, content requires work. As much as when we think influencer, we often got these scandalized. When we think of content creators, we often think of, she's a model, she takes photos and posts them online. They just film themselves talking and post it online. There is so much work. Being a content creator is basically like being cast, producer, editor. You are your own marching band. You are your own actual like entertainment company, because content provides entertainment, it provides information, it provides education. There's so many things that content does, and I want people to take content. Even this thing that we're doing to my sisters, this is work. Like, as much as we love it, as much as it's something we enjoy, in the same way that somebody may decide they want to be a doctor or whatnot, that is a line of work, even if they enjoy it. It's the same way that someone may go into the tech field because they really are interested in artificial intelligence. That is still a line of work. I think there needs to be a legitimization of content as work, as something that is a labor. It may be a labor of love, but it's still labor. And I think that it's unfair. As much as we may dislike the model, as much as I think of something like OnlyFans, right? Yeah. There are a whole lot of people that are pissed at OnlyFans. And my stance is relatively neutral, in the sense that you cannot stop anybody from doing what they want to do. Would I do OnlyFans personally? Nah, I'm not, y'all ain't gotta see my ass on the internet.
But that's not all OnlyFans is for.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. Y'all ain't gotta see that. However, there are people that really enjoy what they do on OnlyFans. There's so much content that you can create. And this is, again, not me promoting OnlyFans, but I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example because it's often the one that's the most controversial. There's a lot of things that you can do on OnlyFans, and people are upset because the things that are produced on OnlyFans, because they are monetized and because they are seeing the types of people that they are seeing shoot to fame and the types of people that they are seeing shoot to economic empowerment and stuff like that, does not sit well with them. Right. Less so that they are actually outraged with the line of work, they're outraged with the content, but it's more so, I am upset at seeing this person do well, doing what perceives to be not work. In the same way for content creators, it's like, I don't perceive this to be work, therefore I'm upset that you are making a living off of it. Or I'm upset because I feel like this is not a serious endeavor. And not only do I not think it's serious enough, I also think it's actually harmful what you're doing to the greater society.
I hear that.
However, I do think that we need to give credit where credit is due, at least as it pertains to content creators. What they're doing is a line of work. Work requires effort. Work requires creativity. It requires a substantive time commitment. And I think that de-influencing is harmful because it completely delegitimizes that.
And I do think that, like, to take that a bit further, it's not necessarily then about the platform and the platform's model. I think there is a need to have conversations about our morality of certain content like that. But that, again, it's a language thing versus just coming at the creator or coming at the platform. Like, the difference between OnlyFans and Patreon is literally just branding. Like, it's literally just PR and what people have to say about it. As much as, like, content creation is a job. And as someone who's been doing it for like 5 years, it's hard work for sure. However, no one is saying that, being an influencer is the same amount of work or the same amount of impact as being a doctor, being an engineer, being all of these amazing things, right?
But I think what people... Even then...
No, I it's like the same way footballers get paid so much more than doctors. I know footballers train really hard, but then, like, there's also saving their life. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But then this brings us more so to a deeper conversation. And I think the nuanced conversation is about how much we are invested in commercialism versus health.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like, even our government isn't as vested in healthcare. Do you get what I mean? But think about how much money privatized organizations make from health insurance. When it comes down to it, because we live in a world which is so privatized and commercialized, we can literally make more money putting adverts on good health than we can from actually being healthcare workers.
Right. You know what's even funny about that is we can be influencers that are pushing healthcare products.
And
but
get paid more.
Practitioners.
But get paid more. So this is more so an infrastructural conversation. This is about markets. This is about how much we are invested in brands and how much brands see us as valuable consumers than it necessarily is about influencers who just take their slice of the pie for doing the work they've been contracted to do, because this is inevitably part of marketing. Do you get what I mean? So it's the same way you can be pissed that, you know, footballers are getting paid millions every year in order to kick a ball around a field. I know it takes so much more to be an athlete, blah blah blah, but that's because they work in the entertainment industry. And because of how much we are invested in entertainment, there is a thriving economy there that is to be distributed against the different stakeholders in those industries. And it's the same thing with digital influencing. Because we are so invested in products, social media is going to push product-placed advertisements before us, and they need people to make that content because we are engaging in content-driven platforms. Influencers are going to take their slice of the pie because they are content creators and they are doing that work. Now, is it annoying that their 4, 5, 6 hours of work or however long it takes them is getting them paid more than people who are putting years into saving people's lives? Yes, but that is not necessarily the game. Unfortunately, is the game. They're playing in it. The same way that capitalism, we are all unwilling or willing participants in capitalism, and everyone is finding their place within that structure. You can still then critique it, but you have to understand to some degree that this isn't necessarily the issue of the individual. This is an issue of the system and the field in which they are playing. And so this is a bigger issue around finances and the imbalance of what it is that we value, or what it is corporations value, governments value, and our society values. And I do think that's a conversation worth having, but again, that requires nuanced and specific language, which doesn't demonize people, right? And which criticizes the right people, which oftentimes isn't the content creator. The content creator already got their check.
They did. We gotta hold the corporations, but I think what is scary about that, and I think why less people do it, is precisely the reason why a lot of people don't riot when it comes to the government. Because their power is so pervasive, it can cause people to feel powerless. So what does one do when they are powerless? Well, in this society, they go for a scapegoat, which makes it easier for them to divert attention, but also feel heard, which is unfortunate. But you got to realize that's not really doing what you want it to do. Y'all got to rise up like the French. French sisters. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I know you guys are dealing with your own issues. But when we think of the rioters, it's definitely the French that have a long legacy of, you know, down with everything, to be fair, down with everything. But I wanted to move on and touch really briefly on quiet luxury, because I think it comes part and parcel with this conversation of consumption. And I think that the rise of quiet luxury has been symptomatic of an issue that has pervaded society for a very long time, which is when things become overly accessible, society retreats into what it knows best, which is, how do I ensure that less people have access to this so that it is more valuable? Because quiet luxury, this whole notion of a soft life or like a soft aesthetic that is not super mainstream, something that's away from the masses, this whole resurgence of old money looks and whatnot. I think it's interesting considering that with things like social media, with things like entrepreneurship and technology, more people can make money and more people can access things easily. So I don't necessarily think it's a coincidence that, you know, some of the girlies are clutching pearls and some of the man them are like, we're wearing our breeches and our tweeds and all that kind of stuff again. But I wanted to know your thoughts on like the resurgence of quiet luxury. Why, or rather, what is the purpose of its resurgence? Why do you think people are now buying into this whole idea of quiet luxury?
I think it's exactly what you said. It's something to differentiate you from the perceived masses, and that allows you to kind of one up people, you know. It's just, again, a perpetuation of a hierarchy and finding yourself in a different category to other people, and a way to say, okay, yeah, I'm rich, but I ain't new rich. I got money, or I'm not distasteful rich, you know, or I'm not like these people who just became rich on the internet. Like mine is from a legitimate source. Like I work in whatever, M&A or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's really nice. Like I think it's nice that you've got that going for you.
You know, when someone's about to tear your singlet, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I love that you've got that going for you. But what I hate is when when you're using that to then push down or tear down other people's aesthetic, and make them look less than, as if they're less competent, as if they are less worthy of what they have as well, as if they are less rich than you, and not realize that everyone is going to deal with their riches however they want to, right? The same way people are out there criticizing billionaires who are buying planes, the same way you are there saying somebody who's wearing that, you know, Gucci, this Prada t-shirt, then Louis Vuitton belt, and then her best shoe.
So
I'll tell you, and then Moschino shoe.
Just monograms everywhere.
Just different things. You get what I mean?
The cap as well.
Literally, like the same way you're criticizing that. Like it's very much a desire to dictate what is tasteful. And I think tastefulness in itself is something that often is discussed when people are trying to cover up their classism, and a way to make people kind of othered, right? Like, oh, you know, yeah, they've got money, but it's not tasteful. It's not tastefully used. And it's a way to differentiate new money versus old money. And it's very Great Gatsby-esque. Like it's just creating this club of you can't sit with us, you know, we look down on you. And I think that that's something that people do inevitably, because if you go back and listen to our conversation about why do you want what you want, like it's like the economy class thing, right? It's like, I'm not in economy, I'm in business. Okay, I'm not in business, I'm in first. Do you get what I mean? I'm not in first, I'm in the whatever suite. Like, do you get what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. All these different social stratas that we're trying to fit ourselves into, and then we're even dividing them into thinner and thinner lines that say, okay, but I'm here. Like I'm exactly pinpointed this high up in the hierarchy.
Because that's so true.
Yeah, you know, I'm not third class, I'm third class B.
Yeah.
Not third class C. Okay, get it right.
That's so funny.
And I think that process of stratification is something that we do internally, sometimes subconsciously without thinking, where we're just like, oh, you know, I don't want to be associated with these people. And women do it, men do it, society does it in general. And I think we need to be careful of that, because we don't want to rob people of, one, their own unique experience and their ability to just be individuals, and two, our ability to just mind our business.
Absolutely.
I think so many people are invested in other people's business so bad. Why do you care if I'm wearing a million different designers?
Honestly,
now, is it offensive to my eyes? Yes. But my choice now is to look away. Am I personally affected though by you wearing all of this stuff? Absolutely not, you know? And me also having my own personal style is very much my own personal right.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's good, but I think when it becomes a problem, it's the same with the clean girl aesthetic. I said the same thing. It's good if you like that aesthetic for yourself, but don't start pushing it as so intrinsically linked to people's value and their worth, and then start snubbing your nose at people who do not adhere to that, because ultimately it's just a trend. The same way that people are now doing, oh, you want a bag that has a hidden logo, you know, that hidden wealth, that quiet luxury. Those are the same people. Once everyone has the same monochromatic purple bag,
somebody's gonna come out,
they're gonna come with one monogram that has, they might even tattoo it on their face, and that will be the new trend. So just be careful when it comes down to following trends, even those that you perceive as good. Oftentimes conversations, especially when they become redundant, they inevitably evolve. And as we have seen the resurgence of like people just, you know, buying and investing in luxury pieces and that becoming more accessible, inevitably the conversation is going to evolve, and it's going to go back to that same thing of, oh, let's go back to like in the 60s when no one could really tell who was rich, or your wealth was demonstrated like this. We're gonna be back to the whole new wealth thing very soon.
Hamsters on a bloody wheel.
And I just think it's a bit mean. Like it just generally it's just very mean.
It's that association with wealth that people are so preoccupied with, right? This whole notion of, first it was the, you know, get as many designer things as possible because that's what we associate with wealth. Now it's be quiet about it, because that's what rich people really do. They don't go out here wearing all of these like brazen designer goods. And it's like, when will we rest with our preoccupation with being so close to wealth? Not even like,
and what we
obviously there's
exactly,
not even necessarily the acquisition of wealth, but just the proximity to wealth, right? In pure aesthetics. It's not even I want to like make wealth. It's as I'm making wealth, or as I'm in pursuit of, trying to be part of the upper class, I want to look that like I'm part of that class as much as possible. Like the human need for social acceptance has gone so far that we just want to touch the hem of the world. Touch the hem. I just want to look like I'm associated. I want to look like I'm branded with the wealth, rather than actually being wealthy and allowing ourselves to have wealth dictated to us in this manner, right? Like, I often, like when I think of like folks that are super, super wealthy, I know they're probably looking at the rest of society like, why? We don't think about these things. And maybe, of course, that's a privilege afforded to the wealthy by privy of the fact that they actually do have money. But it's like, must we spend so much of our life thinking about how we present to other people as well, right? Because obviously, and don't get me wrong, social acceptance is actually important. 100%. It's a necessary thing. 100%. But social acceptance to the point where we are actively allowing ourselves to run like hamsters on a wheel to look socially, quote unquote, acceptable. Not even socially acceptable. To look like something we're actually not.
Yeah.
It's a bit long. Yeah. Like, it's actually fine. Outside of, and look, if the things that we see as quiet luxury work for you, like if they're actually things that you like and enjoy, and if you have a utility for these things, then by all means go and invest, do your things. No one is saying don't buy luxury items. No one is saying don't buy quiet luxurious goods. Even this whole notion of quiet luxury is just reeking of classism sometimes, because it's like quiet luxury. So what is loud luxury? I didn't know that luxury could be loud. I just thought luxury was luxury. Now there's stratifications in luxury. The human need for social acceptance is constantly fighting with the human need to stratify, to separate, to be the person on top. And I think that we need to manage our expectations and allow people to simply exist.
Yes.
Like, it's actually okay.
100%.
Hashtag this is the new trend.
No. And that's the thing. Like,
hashtag,
it's an attempt to make a trend and a standard of personal choices.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the most dangerous things about social media in our era, the standardization of personal choice.
Exactly.
Like, I've made a personal choice. Your favorite influencer has made a personal choice that I don't want to wear my hair like this anymore, or I don't want to buy these kind of bags anymore. And now it's, oh my God, we all have to change. Was it a mandate? It wasn't a mandate.
Did we
it
miss
wasn't
the
a
manifesto dropping?
And I think that's also a note to influencers, and maybe why this de-influencer thing has some validity to it, which is do not standardize your personal choices, right? Don't make them law, or don't make them I've stopped dyeing my hair this color because I just think it's, I just think it's ratchet. If you are going to do that, then give a disclaimer that says, but if your hair is red and you like it, then that's you. But for my personal choice, I think XYZ, and I don't want you to now think you have to do the same. And I know people will be like, oh, but influencers, we say all the time, right? They don't owe us anything. They don't owe us disclaimers. But I think if you are caring for your digital community, then you do have to question the said and unsaid things that may shape the way they engage with you and then choose to go and live their life. I do think that is a social responsibility of some kind, as a thought leader, as somebody who people are watching and maybe learning from. If you are going to take that AdSense money and you are going to let them click the affiliate links, then at least care for their mental health and their pockets, child. So I do think it's worth just looking at what you're accepting as the standard, when actually it could just be someone's personal choice. Absolutely. And I think that's why we then become outraged when it's like, oh, another influencer has changed their mind on something. And it's like, wow, I really orchestrated my life according to the last thing that you said. And it's like, but who told you to do that? Like, so influencers, don't position yourself as experts, don't position yourself as God either. And as people, don't think that just because they are your favorite influencer, they are the standard. Exactly. Yes, be inspired, but more importantly, be inspired by their autonomy, be inspired by their own self-awareness and their own self-growth and the responsibility they take for them thriving. be inspired by that and start practicing that in your own life.
Right. Thought leadership, but we need y'all to think.
Yeah, you need to be, but also as a consumer, you need to be unique.
You need to be,
Please.
to be honest, we've actually had requests to do like an episode on that, and just like uniqueness, standardization, the fact that everybody's looking the same these days. And to be fair, I don't blame people because the access to people has increased so much and so dramatically that it's not a surprise that trends come and go like that. And it's not a surprise that people are starting to look like everybody else, because we can see everybody else. 50, 60, 100 years ago, we could only see the people in our like communities and all that kind of stuff. Now it's like, oh, I go on the internet, I see millions of people all the time. Of course, we're all going to start looking the same-ish, homogenization and whatnot. But autonomy, uniqueness is your superpower, sis.
It really
Please,
is. Embrace it, baby girl.
Embrace it. But also sustainability. We have spoken about this at length in multiple episodes. We have spoken about consumerism, be for real. Money have to make, but also you don't have to spend money like that.
Money has to be kept.
Money has to be kept, nurtured, invested. And define luxury for yourself, right? Please. Luxury doesn't need to be defined. It doesn't need to be quiet. It doesn't have to be loud. It just needs to be you. What is luxury for you? And don't allow external voices to dictate the beat of your own drum. Allow it to potentially influence, allow it to be a voice, but don't allow it to be the leading voice, right? This is where this is where we all fall into ditches, rabbit traps, fox traps, all sorts of things down the road. Be encouraged by the fact that you are an individual and you can reject things that you see. Just because you see it doesn't mean that you have to follow it. So, sis, we are encouraging you. We are not de-influencing you. Maybe we're influencing you a little bit. Hopefully you trust us.
But that's the thing, right? That's the thing. It's like the reason why we can't come on these mics and be like, yeah, I'll follow your favorite influencers. We are, in some view, influencers. Like, let's be for
we create
real
content. We are influencers.
Do you get, like, let's actually be for real. Like, don't be a hypocrite. Like, just don't be a hypocrite. Just have nuanced conversations and find the language for what it is you're trying to articulate, even if it is frustration.
But you know what, to be fair as well though, we know that there are some folk that don't have the language to describe some of the things that they would like to see.
100%.
And I think it sometimes results in miscommunication. So I do think that the duty of care is not just in the articulation, but also in the collection of knowledge.
Yes.
So in order to articulate yourself better, I think because of social media, we're so quick to position ourselves as experts and so quick to influence that we forget actually we do need to do the work of being able to get to a place where we can articulate ourselves well, but also in a way that represents us, but also doesn't damage other people. So I think there's a duty of care for influencers, and people may disagree depending on your industry and what kind of influencer you are. I'm not saying that everyone needs to go and get like educated at whatever, but I do think there is a duty of care around, if I am going to have the masses or some kind of community following me, I need to commit myself to continuing to have some kind of progressive learning as part of my influencing agenda. So I would implore all people that have a platform, because this is why their stupidity has been allowed to prevail on one too many platforms. Stop. We implore you. We don't want the podcast licensing act to come in, but if it has to come in, we're going to enforce it. It needs to be stopped. So sisters, we would love to hear your thoughts on de-influencing, overconsumption, but also quiet luxury. Are you a quiet lux girl? Are you a babe that's into de-influencing? Are you a babe that's into sustainability? It's doing too much. But importantly, sisters, we are very much about building community, and we can only do that sustainably, and we can only do that if everyone's got their, or at least committed to getting their heads screwed on correctly. So if you are a sister that is watching the To My Sisters podcast for the first time, or you are continuing to be a member of this wonderful community, you know what you should do in order to increase the sustainability of this movement? Follow us on all of our social media. That's right. That was
oh god.
You know when you do a good segue, you're just like,
me, guys, help me.
Courtney loves me. Look at that, the deep love in her eyes right now. Could never get you know, this is reminding me of the last episode we did when you were like you're not under duress. Tell them that you love Bridgerton now that I was right. But sisters, please come and follow us on all of our social medias. If you are looking for a wonderful content creator to follow and support, you should follow the lovely lady, lavish, gorgeous lady who has thought-provoking. She absolutely does, but has thought-provoking, interesting content for the modern day woman looking to elevate herself.
Wowzers.
Miss at CB Boateng. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, not Twitter. Babe is not.
Everyone knows I ain't in those streets.
Some movie. Follow her and everything else there. And of course, come and follow me at Renee Kafuku on all platforms. Follow the sisterhood at To My Sisterhood everywhere. Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, everything that you can think of, we're there. So please come and follow us, support us, and keep in line with the sustainability angle that we are going for, because we want this community to be sustainable, and we need you to achieve that.
For real. And make sure that you sign up to our mailing list to get exclusive glowing and growing tips sent straight to your inbox every week. We do not lack when it comes to our newsletter, sisters, and we will not spam you. We will just send you love on a consistent basis. And who doesn't want consistent love in their life? All right. We hope that you have an amazing week, and share your thoughts with us down below in the comments. All right. We will talk to you very, very soon. And as always, keep glowing and growing.
We're Renee
and Courtney, your online sisters, and we're on a mission to help women across the world become the best version of themselves through the power of sisterhood.
That's why we've written To My Sisters, a guide to building lifelong friendship.
From working out how to achieve your dreams to setting boundaries and managing expectations, this essential handbook will show you how to fully embrace the power of friendship and community.
Packed with practical advice and personal stories from our decade-long friendship, we'll give you all the tools and advice you need to find, make, and keep lifelong friendship.
To My Sisters is available now online and at all good bookshops.